Sherlene, I can see your slide deck. Go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so you're seeing the clean version of it, right?
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you. Okay, great. We're here to talk about, excuse me, our Human Resources and Payroll Smartlist Suite today. And thank you very much for inviting me to present this. This is something that I'm passionate about. So I hope today that this little short Let's Learn time will show you guys some of the magical tricks that we've come up with to make your life easier as you process payrolls in GP. So our objectives for this session are to learn how you can quickly get meaningful payroll and HR data with Smartlist reports, and secondly, take a quick tour showing this product in action in GP. Before we get into the actual slides, I wanted to just give you a little background. I'm Sherlene Sorensen with InterDyn BMI. I work as a senior implementation consultant and been doing this for about 20 years now with InterDyn BMI the entire time. And before that, I was a customer like you guys that are listening I started out on Dynamics version 1, and prior to that I used the DOS Great Plains product. So been around with the product a long time. I have a CPA background, and so I understand the entire accounting system and have empathy and understanding for what you go through every day. But my passion is with payroll and HR, so that's where I spend the majority of my time implementing, training, reporting, supporting. So just to give you a little info on that. The product that we're going to look at today is one of our ISV solutions that we've developed internally at InterDyn BMI, and what you're going to see is all as a result of customer requests. I work with many payroll and HR customers, and when we receive the same requests over and over, we've turned those features that are requested into an enhancement so more customers can benefit. So you might think I'm trying to work myself out of a job with developing these products, but really our end goal is to create happy and self-sufficient customers. We think you'll be happier and you'll appreciate these value-packed products, and once you implement them, you'll wonder how you got by without them before. So as you'll see with these reports that I've created today, it might trigger a seed thought for you about some other reports that could be done or some other ways that GP could be tweaked slightly to make your life easier. And so those are the kinds of things that we love to hear about. We listen to you and take your pains and turn them into a more positive experience. So if you don't love GP payroll yet, we'd like to hear what you're experiencing and how we can help change that story for you. So right now we're marketing 3 payroll and HR related products, and we've recently hosted webinars for the payroll posting accounts enhancement and the payroll productivity suite. So like Kim mentioned, you can look for those recordings in our YouTube channel, and today we'll focus on the features in our very handy tool belt called the Human Resources Payroll Smartlist Suite. So our agenda is to talk about the cool reports that are included in this suite, show what you can do with them, and then just to see that all in action. Who can use this product? Basically anyone that has GP payroll. I really highly recommend that this product be part of what you have in GP. And here's a few questions here that you can also ask yourself. Do you need a way to catch something important that was not filled in on employee data? So things like missing SUTA state or workers' comp code on the employee. Did you forget to mark the primary pay code? With these objects, you'll be able to set up reminders to help you watch for things that you might easily miss when you're adding employee data. And the reminders can pop up on your home page when you log into GP. That part of it, the reminders feature, is part of the standard GP, but having these reports will just give you something that allows you to find the data that you need. So the best way to fix something is to actually prevent issues from happening in the first place. So we want to have better tools in place and not have to be tearing our hair out because we can't find or miss something before we run payroll. Do you spend too much time trying to find the data that you need for reporting or calculations to support reporting? With the HR and Payroll Smartlist suite, you can quickly and easily get the information you need in the format you need it, export it to Excel, manipulate it however you need to from there. Almost any report that you need that pulls data in a detailed or summary format can be pulled in a Smartlist object and can be, and then of course exported to Excel. So with this suite, you'll have 50 plus more reports available to you, and there will either be one that fills your need or one that you can use as a basis to replicate for a report that you need for you to even modify those yourselves. If you need a way, a more efficient way to get reports summarized the way that you need, there's nothing worse than being asked for the same report repeatedly and it takes you hours to compile. So and with the GP canned reports, if you export those to a text file, then you have to convert them into Excel and get rid of headers and all of that kind of stuff. With Smartlist, you have that nice, easy feature to export right from there to Excel. You can use the data, manipulate the data, tweak the Smartlist objects so that it includes just the data that you need, and it makes it very easy to use the data even for things like macros and imports and things like that. Many of these objects can also be turned into multi-company objects, so you can combine information from multiple company databases. Also, if you need reminders to help you watch for data inconsistencies so that your checks are correct before you cut the payroll checks, this will be a great product for you too. So for example, with the standard GP, the changes made on the employee maintenance window for the SUTA and workers' comp codes, they don't automatically update on every pay code that the employee has assigned to them. And with this suite, with a report that's part of this suite, you'll be able to set up a reminder that's watching for things like comparing the employee maintenance level, what that code is for SUTA or workers' comp, and comparing that to the employee pay codes to make sure that you're keeping everything consistent there. Another example would be compare the tax settings, the checkboxes on the employee deduction or the pay code level, compare that against the setup level to make sure that you're watching for inconsistencies there, help you keep your taxable wages in check and monitor those things before they cause a problem with an incorrect setting. So the immediate benefits upon purchasing and installing this, you'll reduce time spent searching for data. You'll save many hours not having to manually build reports. You'll be able to quickly access payroll and HR data for further manipulation in Excel. And we've got over 50 Smartlist Builder objects included, and many of them are ready to use without tweaking. There will be some others that have calculated columns in them that might need a little bit of adjustment just to fit the payroll codes that you use at your company. But many of them will be able to use right out of the box. So here's a few examples of what you're going to see in here. We've got an expanded employee maintenance view with the summary, or with many tables attached to it. They have primary pay rate, W-4 settings, the descriptions of departments and positions rather than just the codes and things like that. You'll be able to get the current deduction rates or benefit or pay code rates, lists of pay codes assigned to employees, those types of things. We've got very simple and easy objects to use for that. We have one that will show your direct deposit account status on every employee. That will be handy if you require all employees to have direct deposit. That'll be one that you can watch to make sure everyone is set up for direct deposit before you run your check run. We've got objects for the HR attendance showing the time available and the transaction history. That's a tough one to get other than just some canned reports that you can't modify or restrict very easily. We've got objects that help you with your year-end taxable wages reconciliation. The payroll historical transactions, that one, I've got several different levels of that one summarized in different ways. There's a check register level, so you can get the detail of the transactions behind each check, or you can get just the check header information. We've got setup level lists. It's just packed with things here. So we've got several objects in there for the payroll process that are basically equivalent to your pre-posting reports, deductions and arrears showing the transactions and the summary of balances outstanding, HR status and pay rate history, and we've got objects for HR employee certifications and licensing and training. So this is just a short list of what we have. It's really packed with quite a bit more than this, but for the sake of time I'm just pulling out a few of the examples that you can see. What will this work with? We do have these objects for GP 2013, 2015, and 2016. So they've been built over the years, and they will upgrade to the next level as you go. And you do need to have, please note that you do need to have the E1 Smartlist Builder for these to work. These were all developed in Smartlist Builder. They will not at this time work with Smartlist Designer. So, and my recommendation is if you are able to combine, if you need to purchase E1 Smartlist Builder in order to use these, also consider getting the Smart View as part of that package. That's just another viewing window that's kind of an alternative to the regular Smartlist window that gives you like Smartlist on steroids, where you can summarize and you can show totals and you can group things and you can easily change your columns around. So if you're looking at how to set this up or just getting this into your system, Smart View is another great product to put in the mix along with Smartlist Builder and this suite of reports. It's something that I feel is so important that with our new payroll implementations, this is basically, you know, the Smartlist Builder and these reports are basically what I would consider required to have a successful GP payroll and HR implementation. All right, so let's take a closer look at a few of these that might be useful to you. Let me get my demo here started. So I'm in GP. I've just gone into my Smart List window, and you can see here I've got, I'll just close this up or scroll down here a little bit. If you go into the payroll section of reports, all of these that are listed here, these are all objects that are part of this suite. So you can see as I go down, there are a lot of objects in here. Everything that you see in this list right now is part of this suite except for these four right in the middle, the employee summary, employees, and historical transactions and payroll transactions. Those are all canned objects, but all of these other yellow folders that you're seeing in this list are all part of this suite. So there is a ton of information in here. I have a couple of them imported into this image that are in the HR section as well, and I have a few more that just aren't imported as of today, but will still be part of this object. So employee pay rate history. I didn't set up anything fancy with this, but this is pulling out of the table that when you change an employee's pay rate and you choose a reason and an effective date on that little window that pops up, that's an HR history table that it's going to populate when you say yes to save to history. So every time you do that, you want to choose a reason that makes sense of what you're doing, and then you're getting a track of what the pay rate was that went with that change. Again, the status change history for the HR history table. You can see in here too, I've got 5 records for Pilar Ackerman, and you can see that I've got the reason for the change, what's going on, what effective date that was, and if you scroll over to the right on here, you can see who made that change and the date that it was made. And my image doesn't seem to be keeping up with me really quickly here, but here's your prior, who's changing it and the date that it was changed. So there's just a ton of information. These objects are basically built with, going into the SQL tables and linking them together in a way that gives you the data that you want. So another one, for example, is the employee maintenance. I named this one with an asterisk because I wanted it to be at the top of the list here because I think it's so useful. This one has many tables connected to it. This is pulling basically out of the employee maintenance window, and it would be good for an address list, for a list of employees, active employees. You can use your search functions here, of course, and restrict it down however you want. So if you want to say, give me just active employees, we can say inactive is equal to no, and we'll have just our active employees on here, one record per employee. And if I see something in here that I need to change, I can double click on this record. We've built in lots of go-tos. It'll take me right to that employee maintenance window where I can change things. One example that I have set up in here is that I want to make sure, because in this table I also have a way to get a list of my primary pay rates, and I can see here in my sample install here I have quite a few employees where I haven't filled in my primary pay code on the employees, so I'm not getting a pay rate listed here. But I've set this up as a favorite and a reminder. It's searching to show me where my primary pay code is blank. And when I have these records showing up, I can double click here, see what kind of an employee this happens to be, go to my pay codes, and go mark whichever pay code is appropriate to be the primary pay code. So once I've marked that, and I'm just going to choose a generic reason there, but once I've marked that, I will be able to see the pay rate on the employee maintenance view here. The other thing that I've done with this is I saved this, so I'm going to just save this as another example. I've got this so it's showing only my people that are missing my primary pay code. Oops, let me hit my refresh here. So John Shane should not show up on my list now anymore. But I'll save this as another favorite just so that you can see how you can save these as reminders. So I'm going to set this up as 2, and I'll hit add and add favorite and reminder. So when I'm looking for a specific set of data where I need to do something with it, a reminder is appropriate for that. So when I choose add favorite and reminder, and then I can tell the system when to remind me. I want it to remind me when there's greater than 0 records on here. And ideally, if I have everything set up properly, I won't have any records showing up. So if anything does show up, I want to see a reminder on that. And I'll just quickly go back to my home page here and show you that on the home page, I need to have my reminders section turned on. And if I hit the refresh here, and I actually do see it right here. This is showing up as a reminder right here in my to-do section on my home page. So I can click right on there. Takes me into Smartlist, into the specific object that it's pulling from. I can double click, work right from here, and go mark those records. And as I mark them off, I can refresh my view and see who's left to take care of. So just a quick little background on how to do that. Another one that I've built into this particular object is your age field and the years of service. I've got anniversary month. Those are all things that people like to use to find, maybe who's got a review due or who they want to send birthday cards to, things like that. These are not fields that are built into GP. They're calculated columns. So there's so much you can do with this, and as you implement this product, we do recommend that you plan for like 6 to 12 hours of consulting time along with it, so we can show you how to use each of these and and make sure that they're set up efficiently for you. There may be some calculated fields that we need to add for you. You may be using specific extra fields on the employee that you need named a certain way for the report. So those things can all be adjusted and included as part of that consulting time. But you can see here where we've linked to our payroll master table. We've linked all these other ones where we're grabbing the pay code master, and we've linked that one just to grab the primary pay code. We don't want every pay code in this particular view. We just want to be able to get the pay rate off from whichever pay code is marked as the primary pay code. So as you implement these, you also get some training, just inherently on the Smartlist Builder as well, so you can see how these reports are put together, and we can modify them slightly to fit just what you need. Another one that we've built in here as a calculated field is a calculated date inactivated. Many times people want a report where they can get a list of employees that are active as of a certain date. Well, with just the standard fields, that's difficult to do because if the employee is still active, their date inactivated shows up as 1/1/1900. So it's difficult to get a list of who's still active and who has inactivated after a certain date, because the active people come in or wouldn't fit in with an inactive date over a certain time. So anyway, we've just built in several calculated fields into each of these objects that were requests from customers. So I think that you'll find them very handy as well. Excuse me here, I just need to scroll my notes down a little bit. So the other objects you can see below here, we've got objects that are showing different ways. These are your payroll transactions that are waiting to be paid. So we've got some batch summary information in here. You can see that it's summarized for each pay code for a date range in each batch. So you can see those summaries much more easily than you can on an edit lists report, for example. So that's in the batch summary format. Here's also a detail level of the transactions. These are the transactions that are waiting to be paid from the payroll transaction entry window. You can go into that window, but it's kind of a pain to scroll around and see things, and sometimes people get messages like they can't inactivate an employee because there's still a transaction that's unpaid for that employee, and this will help you find what batch that transaction might exist in. We've also got this summarized where you can look for example, like the total number of hours for that employee that's included in your transactions waiting to be paid, and we can have calculated columns with the different types of hours that those are. So there's really unlimited options of what you can do with these. These next objects, starting with the 2.1, they are objects that will have data when you have a build and calculate in place. So when you get those pre-check reports, those are similar. So we've got them all, in different formats here. Let me make this a little bit wider. The check header information, you can look for who's got too high of a check, too low of a check, who's missing. Get, dollar amounts and hours for how many hours are overtime this pay period. Before you even print your checks, you've got all of this in a format that you can easily use in other reporting if you want. You can see how much you've got for totals on your deductions without running those reports, and it's just nice to have it in here where you can quickly search and export to Excel if you want. So pre-check options. Then we've got a lot of like the employee maintenance level objects looking at deductions. We've got ways to compare your HR benefits to the payroll side of the benefits, a history of your benefits. So just pulling from different tables, you've got direct deposit lists, and then down here we start looking at your historical check registers. So this is pulling out of check information after the checks have posted, so you can see at a check header level, and then some of these are a detail level. Here's one in here that a lot of customers like to use for their 401k reporting. This is a report that's not easy to get just out of standard reporting at all, where you can have your salary or your gross wages in one column, your 401k deductions or or other, these would be adjusted to fit whatever your code names are. You can get your gross wages, 401k, employee share, employer share, loan payments, and the total of all those all in one report really easily. And we've got a few for the setup level. So if you're looking at how a code is set up, it's kind of nice to be able to see those codes, a whole list of them, rather than having to scroll through the window and look at one code at a time and see what the settings are on those. You can see them all in one spot. And then after the setup level, we've got a few down here if you need manual checks. If you're doing an initial import into GP using the manual checks, these are helpful in tying out your wages for that. So there is just a ton of information in here, lots of really good uses for these. Kind of depends on what you need. So you've got the objects here, and then from there we show you how to use them, help you get started on setting them up to give you reminders that are meaningful for you. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I wanted to show you about our objects. And I hope that you have found some that spark your interest, and we'd be glad to look at it closer with you to see and help you set them up so they work for you. So just a couple more quick slides here. As Kim mentioned, we have YouTube videos out there. We have done webinars recently on our other two products that we talked about here, and a year-end update webinar last week of what was in it and who needs it installed. That's out there on the YouTube channel as well. Cleaning the sludge out of payroll and HR. If you've been on payroll a long time, that's a great video to look at too, to see what you can do. And then we have one more coming up yet in December that's payroll related to help you avoid chaos and learn how to reconcile your taxable wages. So here is my contact information if you would like to send me any questions, or you can get them to Kim as well.
Excellent.
And thank you very much for attending. And if you have any questions, I'll take them now.
All right. On the right-hand side, everybody, if you could type in questions you would like to get answers to before we let her go, that'd be great. We got one here for Brooke, and it says, do you have a SUTA report with hours instead of weeks?
I don't have one that's called SUTA, but I have other objects where we can get the wages. It would basically be a calculated column, and yes, hours are very easy to get. Weeks are actually harder to get than hours, so we would be able to do that. It would just be a matter of tweaking an object that we have.
Sounds good. All right, I don't see any other questions in the queue, so if you want to go ahead and type in any questions that you've got, we will make sure that we get that addressed. And let's see here. Okay, we got another one. Hold on here. Again, I want to mention also that we do have a copy of her deck, and so if you would like to have that, make sure that you get in touch with User Experiences at InterDyn BMI. All right, the one question, can I modify these Smartlist Builder objects?
Well, that's a great question. And yes, once these are imported, you own these objects. So you can modify them, you can duplicate them, delete them, change them however you want. It's just like purchasing a bunch of reports. So once they're on your system, you can do anything you want with them. And also just an FYI note on that, as a result of how these are just basically Smartlist Builder objects to import, once you've purchased them and imported them, we won't be touching them again like upgrades. We won't be changing these reports at all. At upgrade time, they would just be backed up and then imported into your new GP version without any changes. They would upgrade if table changes were made, of course, but other than that, we don't change them, because once they're on your system, you could have changed them to your needs, and we don't want to overwrite those changes.
Sounds good. And again, Smartlist Builder, if you don't have it today, it's only a couple $1,000s. Well worth your investment when you look at the time that you're going to save with some of these reports. Sherlene, we are over our time. Thank you so much for your time. I certainly appreciate it.